We're alphabetical order, boys. So we're starting with the Carolina Hurricanes, a team that at one point after getting Jake Guentzel last year was the favorite to win the Stanley Cup. We had Sebastian Aho on to break it all down. He was too locked in to really have too much fun. He was determined, and they didn't get where they want to go. So I guess that we can start with, will they ever get where they want to go? Because last year seemed like as good a year as any, and then they lost Jake Guentzel. Brett Pesce was a huge loss. Teravainen, they got worse. But again, let's start vague with, is this a year where the Hurricanes can still feel we're cup contenders-ish? 8th best odds to win the cup, 3rd best in the Metro.
Yeah, I think they can definitely feel that way. The big question is it
a free country is the question.
Yeah, no, it's no. So I think that they're gonna be there. They're gonna be where they've been. There's no reason to believe that they're not going to be hanging around. The big question with the Hurricanes is similar to like the Leafs. It's like, are they ever going to get over the fucking hump? Are they ever going to get to the finish line? And a lot of the times you wait and you say, you know, they've grown together, they've learned from their mistakes, and they will get over the hump. But it doesn't always happen. Like, they're not as talented as the San Jose Sharks when the San Jose Sharks had their big core with like Pavelski, Marlowe, Thornton. But like you kept saying over and over again, like they can't not get it done. Yes, they can. Like, they can fail. So I don't buy into the Hurricanes, given what I've seen over the summer, that like they've done enough to push them over the hump.
I mean, if anything, you ask how much worse have they gotten, because their biggest moves were extending their RFAs. Seth Jarvis gets a huge deal. We love it for him. Martin Necas. But as I mentioned, they lose Jake Guentzel, who I don't really count because he was like a deadline addition. You didn't know if he was going to be there long-term anyway. But Pesce is a huge loss. But I'll say two things on that. One is that they've survived losing guys on defense before. 2021, they lost Dougie Hamilton and then had the lowest goals against in the league next season. Plus, their defensive personnel is still really good. The other thing is that teams do come close, get quote-unquote worse, and then improve, have a better result. It was 2017 or 2018,
Capitals.
Whichever year the Capitals was. Yeah, they load up at the trade deadline. They get Kevin Shattenkirk. They lose earlier than they would have liked. They don't keep Shattenkirk. On paper, you're like, okay, well, that was it. That was their opportunity. They go out and they win the cup next year. Their group now, with young guys being older and with them being proven at overcoming losses on defense, it wouldn't shock me if they're still really, really good. And if, I don't know, like at some point, they don't, as you said, they don't have to, but at some point, they could take that next step.
Yeah, I just think that there's the goaltending is still a concern for me. Like, Freddie Anderson had a really good year last year, but he's what, 35, and he didn't play a ton last year. Like, he's good when he's healthy, but I just don't know if you can trust him, especially in the playoffs. Hey, thanks for watching the channel.
We appreciate everybody who checks out our stuff, but 80% of our viewers are not actually subscribed to this page, so if you could smash that subscribe button, it would go a very long way for us.
The more subscriptions we have, the more visibility we get from YouTube, which allows us to do more.
So press that button. Thank you.
So like goaltending, still a little bit of a question mark for me. You mentioned losing Guentzel. Where are their goals going to come from? Because that's why they went out and they got Guentzel. It seems like their goal scoring always dries up when they kind of need it most. And that's why they went out and got Guentzel. He helped for sure, but now you've lost him. You're kind of back to the same position that you've been in.
They still scored a lot of goals last season, though. They just don't have... They just
dry up, though.
Have like potent kind of killers.
Yeah, that's been their big thing forever, is that they've got a really good roster, but they don't have any like true game breaking superstars.
Their power play was awesome last season. They finished top 10 in goals scored. They were really, really good. Like, I get why, even though I was kind of making a face at it at the time, I get why they were a favorite to win, or like why they were the betting favorite to win the cup
in a pretty wide open Eastern Conference too.
Yeah, exactly. I think that the bigger loss for them is Pesce than Guentzel, because like their hallmark is always going to be their.
I disagree.
I don't know if they're like so physically tough to play against, but they're difficult to play against.
Yeah, but I mean, their defensive system is really good, and their commitment to team defense is strong. Like you mentioned, they've lost guys on defense before. They always find the next guy. Their defense has not been a problem for a long time. It's the guys and the playmakers up front in really packing a punch offensively. So I disagree. I think losing Guentzel is really tough for them.
I'll also say that I guess my heart probably meant that the Pesce thing is a sizable loss. Guentzel, I just like wasn't really considering him being on the team anyway. So getting a guy at the deadline, not keeping them, and then losing a guy who's been a kind of core part of your team for a long time, that to me I see as being the more they took a step backwards from what they were in the first place. But yeah, if they could have kept anybody, you'd want them to keep Guentzel. What intrigues me offensively with this team is what is Seth Jarvis, because he gets a big contract and that's terrific for him. Is he going to be a right wing on the first line, or is he at some point going to be a center? It would go a really long way if he ends up being a center and a good center at that, because otherwise, what are you looking at? Second line center, just very cocky.
Yeah. No, like I don't want to say ugh.
Not
like,
as a second line center. No, I just don't.
If his offensive game takes a big step, sure, but you would feel a lot better with that guy being your 3C. Like I say this all the time, having a really good 3C, especially one who is a shutdown guy, is maybe the biggest piece to becoming like a true Stanley Cup contender. So if the Hurricanes are in a position where Kotkaniemi is their 3C and is a major shutdown piece for them, like a Philip Deneau type, that'd be huge.
Do you call third pairing defensemen 3D?
No.
Is 3C a video game term?
No.
Where does it come from?
I think people just say 2C,
Yeah,
3C.
All right.
Like QB1, QB2.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it. That's kind of it though for me. Like, who is there 2C? Is it Jarvis? And if it's Jarvis and he's awesome offensively, then they're in business, and you can always figure out who to make your first line right wing another time, or maybe that's a deadline addition. They don't really have cap space, but yeah, what is Jarvis and what is Kotkaniemi? Those are my biggest two questions.
I'm very intrigued about Bradley Nadeau, who may crack the team this year. It seems he's projected from Daily Faceoff as their second line left wing, which would be really interesting. He was their first round draft pick last year. Really good player. If he turns into something, top six looks quite a bit better.
Yeah, they're just not as they're when you look at their lineup, it's never going to be daunting.
Well, because
what's a mind fuck
you've
with
seen
them.
it so many times. You've seen it before. It's very similar to what they've rolled out in the past, minus Jake Guentzel, so it's less sexy. But it's still good.
I think I'm in my head about the 2C thing because I'm looking at my notes and I even wrote down. I said Jarvis Kotkaniemi, who is 2C. So that's a term that I've used before, but I felt like I'd never heard it before. Is it a common thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
That we've been saying forever?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm using it. Pete's using it. This is our thing. So
we invented this.
All in all, do you like him better or do you like him worse than last year? I like him a little worse, but I see this division as being as open as I thought it was going into last year anyway.
I don't think that I can say that they're better, but I'm not comfortable saying they're worse either.
They're definitely not better, is what I will say. They could be, or they're definitely not.
They could be better if like their core guys take big steps. Like if Sebastian Aho, Svechnikov, Jarvis all continue getting better, they're better. Like it seems like a dumb and like easy thing to say, but I think it's true.
And that defense is still, again, like it can, I don't know how well it'll deal with losing Pesce, but Slavin, Burns, Orlov, Sean Walker, who they got, Gostisbehere, they've got real guys on the back end there. So they're going to be in the mix. It's just a matter of how high.
We all silly like the mayor.